Christiana Figueres said at a gender event on Tuesday to talk from our hearts and souls rather than our minds. Women have been accused of being too emotional and not as rational as men for centuries. What kind of statement is this? Certainly not the kind that will move women's issues forward.
So that is my perspective. I'm looking at what is good for all people, regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of age, regardless of any other factors.
Ridiculous claims of gender inequality are just that. They are ridiculous. They claim that climate change has made women's lives more miserable, harder, they suffer more from natural disasters, and even wild claims that climate change causes prostitution. The weather cannot affect gender inequality just as human beings cannot affect the weather. It rains just as hard on women as it does on men. Let me be very clear. Climate change does not cause prostitution. Prostitution, the world's oldest profession, has been around for centuries, long before any claims of man-made climate change. It predates the medieval warm period, the Little Ice Age, and most certainly the cooling scare of the 1970s. It is indeed a problem, but not one caused by climate change.
When we say that people can live on less, and that should be the goal of this conference, I am ashamed of that. Tomorrow, I'm going to have all the comforts again of returning on an airplane and going back to the United States. And I'll have my telephone with me, and I'll be able to talk to my family already even before I arrive. I am asking that people at this conference to reconsider their goals. We do not have an adequate alternative to energy right now.
Any climate treaty will limit the developing world's ability to mature into prosperous nations. The UN advocates for the limitation of the same energy sources that we, the developed nations, use to grow our economies and industries. We must advocate for affordable, reliable energy sources such as clean coal, natural gas, and nuclear power. While it's true that there are not as many elected women as there are men, it is not because of hurricanes or tornadoes. It's due to many issues including poverty, lack of education, and limited freedom. The World Bank reported that in Tanzania in 2010, only 14% of the population had access to electricity. I don't really care what the breakdown of men versus women are in that situation. 14% in the 21st century. Doesn't anyone else think that this is an absolute crime? How do you sleep at night? These policies affect lives, women's lives and men's lives, real people like you and I. If we really care about gender issues, we will work to eliminate the disease and not just the symptoms.
We as taxpayers are wasting money on these silly notions that we can instantaneously replace coal, replace natural gas, replace nuclear with wind and solar, and it's not available. So really, what are you asking? You are asking that people have reparations. You are asking that people have a green climate fund. And you know why? Because you want those people to be dependent upon the United Nations, upon you, upon your handouts. That is unfair. That is not liberty. If there is one thing that people deserve, it is liberty. It is not some kind of a handout from a global body in a reparation or a green climate fund. That is not something to brag about. That is not something that this group ought to be advocating. Give these people energy. Give them a way out of poverty and give them liberty. Thank you.